What's good, guys? It's your boy CS back with another one. Okay, a major red alert video that we're going to dive into regarding BTCD. However, before we even start off and kick off on that, my last video basically said we're at a kind of a loggerheads area whereby over the past couple of days, we couldn't breach that yellow historic trend line, as you guys recall, from 2018, something like that. And I kept saying, look, we just keep bouncing and bouncing, and we're back testing it now. So, yeah, over the past couple of weeks, this looks like a clear indication that we just can't breach it, unfortunately. And even if we go onto the trend lines, the EMA ribbons, we've now smash through the 20 EMA. We smash through the 50 EMA. Do we get close today? Sunday is today, so we've got another so many hours. That is debatable. And we just crashed into the 200 EMA and got a bit of a rejection. Now, what I want to see is next week, if we come and test the 100 EMA, I don't think we'll clear that at all. I think we'll get a rejection next week just because 4 green candles, it comes to this dead cat bounce area, and therefore if you are a bull still, the sentiment is that this is the rejection zone. However, in my opinion, if I just take off the EMA ribbons right now, we are still conforming to this flag pattern or this wedge pattern, whatever you want to call it. And therefore, in my opinion, it's still bullish unless we break out of this pattern here. Like, we've just been following this pattern since the 8th of May. So nothing has changed for a bullish stance, that this is a nice correction. And in actuality, I personally think if we do have a clean break in terms of correction, I'm thinking we now come and test this 20 EMA, which is roughly around 96k. In my opinion, if this comes anywhere around here, 98k, I think that's somewhat a sweet spot to get in. It's just been calling for a very long time, in my opinion. And also on the one dayer, it kind of corroborates that 99k, 98k, and the back test of this existing trend line. That's where we could come down to, and that would be a sweet spot to buy, in my opinion. Again, I've been sidelined, so I've just been watching, and I think we've all got to take note that what's going on in the world, where Trump today has come out and said, yes, we've bombed nuclear sites in Iran, 3 different sites, right? So we've got to be very much aware that there's going to be a retaliation of some kind by Iran. And will that be on US soil? Will that be on US citizens, the military, soldiers? We don't know how that will come about, their retaliation. But I do suspect that we still have maybe another leg down, 2 legs down. So I've been sitting pretty here, very sidelined, like I've been saying for like nearly 2 weeks. I probably got into like 1 or 2 trades, stopped at entry. The PopCat one, like you guys, like I mentioned, I didn't even get into it. It nuked and then it bounced all the way back up, and then would have gone to your base entry if you put stop loss entry. So everything's just been bouncing around, not very unequivocally having a direction to follow. Now, just one other thing that I wanted to mention before we go into the dominance charts was on Bitcoin, the spider line is now at a major spider line support. So this should really hold. But as we've seen, like, if we do come down, the next spider line will be around here. It'll be at 88k, which previously was a good demand zone in that sense, and it sent us from basically our next leg up here. Now, the bearish stance, and this is also where I want to come to, is we do look like we have exhausted. Just on the RSIs alone, forget this blue one. That's the 4 hour. This white one, if we did flick up, it would be great. But also, I can't deny, when we get the flashes on my wave patterns, and we've now got a flash. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but when this flashes, it's just never a good sign. Like, even if it's only like a 10k, 20k drop, that's bad. But when you get the divergence ones, like these, right? So if we go from here around 69k, let's call it, comes down to 50k, that's only a 20k drop. It's not too bad. But having massive wave patterns and constant divergences to the downside, I can't help but think similar to like that double top of last cycle, and then the line, the divergence, that's the start of the bear market. And again, I don't want to be that guy that says it after coming all this way, but I have to be rational as well and say, well, the RSI was absolutely roasted. Like 2021 roast, 2024 roast, and we just can't seem to, get lift off. If we came here, fantastic, because then we would get another all-time high, maybe to like 120 at a push. So it's still on the cards, but I've also just got to be realistic and say that is definitely a divergence. 4 days already rolling over, 3 day has rolled over, 1 day's already rolled over. And I guess this is the only bullish bit on the medium to time frames. Everything's looking bullish for a rebound. But that weekly is very scary, man. That is very, very scary. I don't like seeing a wave pattern that's just flashed like that. Okay, so there is, both sides. And also just one other thing on this like war that's going on. These are catalysts to make the markets go in one particular direction. And just based on what's gone on, if we look at the CME, we've now got a gap at 103,730. So this is a massive gap that we're going to have. But also take note that this previous gap, and I think Steve Ox in our private group, he's mentioned about this gap, which, we never filled. This gap here was never filled. So let's see if I can find it. I think it's there. Yeah. So this gap was never filled when it started on this day and then ended on that day. So that's another gap that needs to get filled. And if we were to nuke even further down, I don't know how much further we would nuke down, we could potentially backtest this parabolic pattern once again, smack into 91, fill in the CME gap, and that would be the last straw for me. I think, to be honest, last straw is kind of around... I'm not too sure. I'd have to play it by ear, because even in fear, we're dropping in fear. Like, if we look at the fear index right now, it's coming from where I bought down here, like 75k, 72k, whatever it was, extreme fear. We're just bordering neutral to fear. Like, fear gets under 40, I think it is. Yeah, roughly under 40. We're on 40 right now. So if we can tank this thing down to like 98 or a bit lower, just a bit lower, and bring that fear and greed, that real fear back into the market, where war's kicking off, the Iranians have retaliated, that would be the perfect opportunity to buy, in my opinion. Buying fear, selling, greed. Now, saving the best till last, because this... Again, we're getting to this kind of final straw territory, which is looking at previous alt seasons and when they started to actually rip. This white trend line is the start of the 2016 bull run, the 2020 alt season bull run, and technically this should be the 2024, but obviously we're here now in 2025, And that is like, if you want the actual on the money hit, the on money hit, I don't think we're going to get it today, but next week, the on money hit is around 66.15%, basically. That's the on money hit. Like, if we just blaze through this, and we're already blazing through massive horizontal resistance as well, by the way. But if we start blazing through here, I don't know what to tell you, because apart from that, the next major resistance is at 72. And again, you could say that's where the threshold is, where once we hit 71.41, once we hit 71.41, that's when alt season commences. Oh, that's when the down leg commences. So, look, this is kind of one of my final straws with altcoins. If they are going to do what they're meant to do, it's going to be off here. If not, we're going to fly up here, and we're going to fly. And then, you know what? I'll even put alerts there. That will be my final my final warning behind it, because at this point you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 green candles, weekly candles, bear in mind, and it only takes one red candle like that one after 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weekly candles, green candles. I got one red weekly candle just to demolish 4 of them. And that's what we're looking for here, where we want a massive wick. We just want it to wick or go as fast as you can. Everyone thinks it's finally over, and then that's when you want to get in. At the moment, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I don't think there's enough pain yet. I really don't think. I feel like a lot of people are longing here, and because so many people are longing, in my opinion, I feel like this is too easy, and hence why I'm not getting in any more new trades. I'm okay to say sidelined until we see this BTCD, this dominance, hit roughly around here, or we add to the last leg up there. Even if we go on total free, right? Total free's not done too bad, but as we can see, it's not hit the previous all-time high, and so there's a lot left in this tank. And Ethereum only got the bump up right now, and obviously today it's got a bit of a nuke, but compared to all the other charts, Ethereum is probably staying stable as it possibly can. So at the moment, not a lot to do. In terms of just SPX, is roughly just focusing on this for a second. This stayed within the point of control zone, which is actually still bullish. But again, what we want to see, I'm personally not getting in yet. And again, something for you guys to follow is most of these. So we've got Brett 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nasty weekly candles. It's in this like channel, just like I think the MOG one's the easiest one to look at if we go on a daily. All these coins are all in channels, but there's still a long way left. I want it to go to like 6.4. Then I'd be thinking about taking a new MOG, long. Brett, I need to change this outer channel because that is too wide. But PopCap, for instance, can go to like 2, 3, 3, 1, and the famous 2, 1, 5, 0, right? It can go there. But also what we're looking for at the moment is reactions. We don't want to take any erratic actions and just get liquidated. That's not how I buy bottoms, and that's not how I buy relief candles. Like you would be seen, like you would have seen me when I bought around 72k, 75k. I start having a field day. I start telling everyone buy, and everyone's like, no, we're gonna go lower. Okay, cool. You have that mentality. I have my mentality. Whoever wants to be on my side, follow on my side. But if you want to follow the herd, you follow the herd. I'm a contrarian, and that's the thing about myself. I will not buy like this. This does not look like a bottom to me. Where is the bottom? If somebody can establish how this is a bottom on Fartcoin, for instance, please tell me how that's a bottom. There is no bottom there. That is a bullish, bearish engulfing candle of the previous week that's got rejected at its, I'd say like penultimate all-time high. And so for me, real support comes around down here. And again, where that wedge channel, whatever you want to call it, where I think it will bounce. That's just my opinion. I don't see any bottoms or reliefs just yet, but I think we're close to it. But I wouldn't be buying. And I know a few people. I've just had a look on Twitter, and some people even in my group, to be fair, that are saying they're buying here. I just wouldn't buy here. I really wouldn't. I'd be waiting for next week, see what happens with Iran, see if we can get this damn fear and greed a bit more lower. We're only at neutral, remember? And I don't know what the fear and greed is on the actual... This is the CMC fear and greed that I use. But I don't know what the actual fear and greed... I think it's still at neutral at like 50, right? So until that thing comes flying down, yeah, I don't really feel comfortable buying in that type of situation. And even looking at cryptocurrencies in general, the memes, really only Doge is really holding strong. Everything else is getting an absolute annihilation. And look at SPX. That's a really good example, apart from all the other ones. I still don't know what this ket is. I need to find out and ask people in our group what this is. But all right, so it's a avalanche meme. Interesting. All of these are getting giga nuked, right? And SPX, for instance, let's look at it in a week, right? Naked chart apart from these, right? It's bearish engulf 2 weeks worth of gains. So 22% and 18%. That's a 40%. A 40% move in 2 weeks, and it's been demolished by one red bearish candle on the weekly, mind you. But one bearish weekly redly candle, right? And usually when you have a bearish engulfing candle, so engulfing means it covers the previous week. So even if it went like here, that would be super bearish, as Japanese candlesticks infer. And so to me, this looks like it can go down here to like 0.76. I think it's with this SPX, these market makers, they rinse this up and down. Like when it's going down hard, and when it goes up hard. So there's like yin and yang on this SPX chart. It's very similar to Fartcoin. The market makers are really smart. They do these long wicks up and long wicks down, and they take people in and they take people out. But for now, all I can see is a downtrend. And I know that sounds negative and not what we want to hear. And usually, you know, me being the perma bull that I am, I still have that in me to buy at bottoms or relief areas. But right now, there's no relief area. There's no bottom here. The only thing I can say is that the reason we got a bounce is off that point of control, 101.3. Or 101 to the T. If this did hold, then yes, I'd say that's an inverse head and shoulders. But with what's going on just literally hours ago, and Trump saying what he said, I think if we go sideways a bit and then try to flick up here and then get a rejection next week, that would be the most perfect outcome. Because then I'd be saying, yes, this is a dead cat bounce on the tether dominance chart. I'd be saying this is going to see motion down like that. But we may need to have a bit of patience here. And I think that's the best thing, which is out of 2 weeks, I've taken two trades that basically hit stop loss at entry. I just don't feel the need to get in anything in a rush here. Just because the chart moves so fast down doesn't mean it's going to move so quick up. Remember that. When the move's already happened and you're the first person to get in on the reverse order to buy, remember, then following week, there's always going to be a wick to the downside if it's going to be a bullish candle. If it's going to be a bearish candle, there's always going to be a wick to the upside. There's always some type of wick going down or up. on weekly, like 8 out of 10 times, 80% of the time, there is always a wick. Like this, for instance, there's a wick down and there's a wick up. There's a wick up and down. There's a wick up and down, up and down, up and down. Even a little wick up and then all the way down. A little wick down, up, wick up, down. See all these little wicks? Even this, look how crazy that is. All that wick up and then straight down. So my point is that I expect next week we will get some type of wick to the upside. At this present moment, I think all eyes are on Bitcoin dominance. The reality is, though, and this is the reality, unless money filters through Bitcoin, the alts aren't going to move magically. They can't move magically. You need volume in Bitcoin. And that's where the issue is, which is if there is no movement in Bitcoin, there is no movement in altcoins. It's very much that simple. And that's where we need to keep an eye on. All right, guys, I think I've covered all bases on so many different charts here. Yeah, I just say monitor it. There's not... Look, I'll even just go on Solana just before I go. So Solana's holding this key, very key point of control zone. It's doing actually really well to hold it at the moment. But having said that, if it comes back down here and it breaks and comes back to 112, then man, Solana might be in some trouble. And that's where we realistically need to, you know, take our bias out and say, well, what's going on here? Look at AVAX. AVAX has basically gone down to where I previously originally bought it at like 14.88. See what I mean? And so always taking profits, even if it's a bit of profits. It doesn't matter if this comes and hits my stop entry. I've already taken out what I've needed to take out, right? And so this is also a really key illustration after however many weeks of grinding to get a bottom entry. It takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 10 to 12 weeks to basically come back to my base entry at 14.88. So probably next week, week after, maybe never. If it wicked down, it could just stop me out at entry, right? Okay, guys, that's all from me. All eyes on all charts, but really all eyes on the war and what's going on there. And then we will see whether, you know, Fartcoin, Prime Mover, Pop, Floki, Brett, whether all these coins, any of these coins can actually hold their level. Because at the moment, they're doing a terrible job. Even Pepe, sorry. That Pepe support trend line, which it actually broke back into, it didn't even get to back test that trend line. Or unless it's going to do something magical by the end of the day and, like, you know, clips above it, it's failed to hold it. And yeah, that's where we are. That's genuinely where we are. And one could even argue, you know, head and shoulders, like really heavy head and shoulders. And these are popping up on all altcoins, not just Pepe, but on many. Same with Casper, same with Mog, same with Floki, with Brett, Fartcoin. They're all head and shoulders, and we're about to get that shoulder down. And that's just something to be aware of. Again, it's hard for me to say, yes, I'm going to take a long here. I did say take a short when I said take a short on Bitcoin, that 108k one. Again, I don't need to look at it because it's a hedge bet. So I'm not making any money because it's just covering all the rest of my positions. But for the sake of trying to make a good decision here, I've got to hold that. Because if I think we're in a bear market, I will hold on to that position for the rest of the bear market. But if I think we are just retracing, or this is just a correction, then I will take out some profits in the short and start making a few more long entries. And that's basically how you would hold on to such a trade. Okay, others dominance as well has just rejected 8.32% quite badly and not held this support trend line. So things aren't looking great. And normally I like them not to look great because I like buying in fear. A whole lot there. Still got a while to go anyway. Alright guys, that's it from me. I will catch you in the next